My fiancée promised a girls' camping trip. Then unfamiliar guys appeared in her story. Her phone flashed. At least the bachelorette party's done. Our wedding was barely more than a month away. We had deposits paid, invitations sent, and appointments filling most of our free time. So when Tara said she wanted one quiet weekend at a lake with a few friends, I didn't question it. I need 2 days where nobody asks me about seating charts, she said while packing. I laughed. You know Monica is probably going to talk about the wedding anyway. Then I'll pretend I can't hear her. She told me the phone signal around the lake could be unreliable. If I disappear for a while, don't panic. I'll try to survive. She smiled, kissed me, and left Friday afternoon. That was it. Nothing about that goodbye felt important at the time. Tara and I had been together for almost 3 years. We argued occasionally, but nothing that made me question whether we should be getting married. I trusted her. So when I texted Friday evening asking if they had arrived safely and got no response, I didn't worry. Saturday morning, I sent another message. Hope Monica hasn't burned down the campsite yet. Still nothing. I left it alone. Tara had asked for a break from wedding planning. I wasn't going to spend the weekend checking on her every few hours. I ran errands, picked up a few things we needed for the wedding, and spent part of Saturday sorting paperwork we had been avoiding. By Sunday afternoon, I expected her home. I made dinner because I figured she would be tired and hungry. She came through the door that evening carrying her bags. Hey. No hug. No kiss. She went almost immediately toward the laundry area. I watched her start pulling clothes out of her bag. You're doing laundry already? Everything smells horrible. Campfire? Smoke, dirt. All of it. It made sense. She had been camping. I didn't think anything more about it. I made dinner. Thanks. She showered first. When she finally sat down to eat, she seemed exhausted. I asked how the weekend had gone. Fine. Just fine? It was fun. I'm just tired. I tried to keep the conversation light. We talked about the weather, the lake, and how badly everyone had slept. Then she mentioned Monica's boyfriend. I looked up. He was there? For a little while. I thought it was girls only. It was supposed to be. That answer caught my attention, but not enough to start an argument. Plans change. Maybe he had driven up unexpectedly. I kept eating. A few minutes later, Tara was telling me about someone falling near the water. She laughed and said, "The guys wouldn't stop making fun of him." I stopped. The guys? She hesitated. Monica's boyfriend brought some friends. How many? Her face tightened. I don't know. A few. I wasn't angry yet. I was confused. So it wasn't really a girls' trip? It started that way. You never mentioned anyone else coming. Because I didn't know they were. Okay. I tried to leave it there. Then another detail came out. More people had arrived Saturday. When I asked who, she became irritated. Why does it matter? I'm just trying to understand who was there. You're making this weird. I'm not making anything weird. You told me you were going away with the girls. Now I'm finding out Monica's boyfriend came, he brought friends, and then more people showed up. She pushed her plate away. You're interrogating me. I've asked basic questions. Because you don't trust me. That's not what I said. You don't have to say it. I stared at her. Every detail seemed to appear only after something else forced it out. I said, "Why didn't you just tell me when you got home that other people had been there?" Because I knew you'd react like this. Like what? Suspicious. I wasn't suspicious until your version of the weekend kept changing. My story isn't changing. It is. No. You're asking for every tiny detail and then acting like each answer proves something. I leaned back. I asked how a girls' camping trip went. That's all. And I told you. No, you didn't. She looked away. Then she said, "Nothing happened." I went silent. I hadn't accused her of anything. I hadn't mentioned cheating. I hadn't even asked whether she had spent time alone with anyone. I said, "Why are you answering a question I didn't ask?" Her eyes came back to mine. I know what you're implying. I wasn't implying anything. Yes, you were. I was asking why you didn't tell me who was there. She stood. This is exactly why I didn't want to talk about it. That made no sense to me. Why wouldn't you want to talk about a normal weekend? Because you turn everything into an interrogation. I asked who you went camping with. You're acting like I did something wrong. I'm asking because the story keeps changing. She reached toward her phone, which was sitting beside us on the couch. Before she picked it up, the screen lit. A message notification appeared. It was from Wendy. I saw the words before I could look away. At least the bachelorette party's done. I looked at Tara. She grabbed the phone. What does that mean? Her entire expression changed. What? That message? What message? The one Wendy just sent. She pulled the phone toward herself. Were you reading my phone? It lit up right beside me. You were looking at my screen. I was sitting next to it. I could hear my own pulse. Tara, why is Wendy saying your bachelorette party is already done? She didn't say that. I stared at her. What? You saw part of a notification. I saw the sentence. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. She unlocked the phone and held it away from me. I said, show me the message. No. If I misread it, show me. You don't get to demand access to my phone. I'm not asking to search anything. I'm asking you to show me one message you're saying I imagined. She shook her head. This is ridiculous. No. What's ridiculous is that I thought you were spending the weekend with a few girlfriends, and now I'm finding out there were a bunch of men there too. Then someone texts you about a bachelorette party. You're making something out of nothing. Then explain it. She didn't. She grabbed her keys. Where are you going? I need to leave. Tara. I'm done talking about this. We're getting married next month. She opened the door. That's exactly why I can't do this right now. I froze. What does that mean? She walked outside. I followed only as far as the doorway. Tara, please. Just talk to me. She got into her car and drove away. I expected her back later that night. She didn't come. I texted once. Can we please talk when you're ready? Delivered. No answer. Monday morning, there was still nothing. I called once. No response. Later, I noticed she had stopped sharing her location with me. We had used location sharing for years, mostly because it was convenient when one of us was driving or running late. Now hers was simply gone. That was when I contacted her mother, Janice. Have you heard from Tara? There was a pause. She's safe. Relief came first. Then confusion. Where is she? I don't think I should say. What do you mean? She needs some time. Time for what? I'm not getting involved. Janice, we're supposed to be married in a few weeks. I know. Then can somebody please tell me what's happening? She went quiet. Finally she said, she's safe, Calvin. That's all I'm going to say. The call ended soon after. That told me something important. Tara was talking to her family. She just wasn't talking to me. Tuesday passed without a word. Most of her things were still in our place. Her clothes. Her toiletries. Her shoes. Everything looked temporary, like she had stormed out and would eventually come back once she calmed down. I held on to that. I kept thinking there had to be an explanation. Maybe Wendy's message was some stupid joke. Maybe the guys at the campsite had been harmless. Maybe Tara was embarrassed because she knew how bad everything looked. I wanted any version that ended with us sitting down and finally having an honest conversation. Wednesday afternoon, we had an appointment with Cheryl, the caterer for our wedding. Tara knew about it. Her parents knew about it too. That morning, I sent her another text. I'm still going to the catering meeting today. I hope you come. We need to talk. Delivered. No answer. I went anyway. Part of me expected her to show up. Maybe she would walk through the door at the last second. Maybe we would get through the appointment, then finally talk afterward. Instead, Cheryl greeted me alone. Is Tara parking? I don't know. She looked confused. We waited. 5 minutes. 10. 20. No Tara. No parents. Cheryl checked her messages. No one cancelled. I looked at the empty chair beside me. Okay. She tried to continue. Guest count. Meal selections. Final details. I could barely follow any of it. After a while, she closed the folder. We can reschedule. I nodded. Yeah. I waited outside a little longer before driving home. By then, something in me had changed. I wasn't expecting a simple misunderstanding anymore. When I got home, several cars were outside. I recognized Tara's. Her parents were there too. For 1 second, I felt relieved. Then I saw the boxes. Tara's father, Marshall, was carrying one toward a vehicle. A few people were helping him move things out. I walked inside. Half the living room already looked different. Tara's books were gone from the shelf. Her pictures had been taken down. Bags were lined up near the door. Janice was packing items from a cabinet. And Tara was standing near the hallway. She saw me. What is this? She didn't answer. Tara? Nothing. I went to the catering appointment. She looked away. Were you ever planning to tell me you weren't coming? Janice stepped toward me. This isn't the time. I looked at her. Then when is the time? Tara doesn't want to argue. I'm not trying to argue. I looked back at Tara. I'm trying to understand why the woman I'm supposed to marry disappeared for 3 days and is now moving out without speaking to me. Tara picked up a bag. I stepped slightly toward her. What happened? She kept walking. Tara, please. She stopped. I asked the one question I had been trying not to ask. What happened at that lake? Something changed in her face. Only for a second. Then she looked away. She walked outside. I followed her to the parking area. We've been together almost 3 years. She opened her car door. You can't give me 5 minutes? Nothing. Was there someone else? Her hand paused. Just for a moment. Then she got into the car. I stepped back. She drove away. Marshall came outside after she left. He looked exhausted. I'm sorry, Calvin. I turned toward him. What is happening? He shook his head. This is probably for the best. I hated that sentence immediately. For the best? I know that doesn't help. No, it doesn't. I asked. Do you know what happened on the trip? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, I thought we raised her to handle things better than this. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? Calvin, did she cheat on me? He looked away. I'm not going to speak for her. She won't speak for herself. I know. That was all I got. Before going back inside, he said, I really am sorry. I stayed while they finished packing. Box by box, Tara's things disappeared. Her clothes. Her books. The shoes by the door. The small things that had blended into everyday life until they were suddenly gone. When everyone finally left, the place felt wrong. There was a blank patch on the wall where one of our photographs had been. That morning, I had gone to finalize food for our wedding. By afternoon, the woman I was supposed to marry had moved out. And I still didn't know why. That evening, my phone rang. It was Paula, one of Tara's friends. She had been on the camping trip. We knew each other, but we weren't close. I answered immediately. Hey. Calvin? Yeah. She hesitated. I heard Tara moved out. I sat down. Do you know where she is? No. I closed my eyes. Do you know what happened at the lake? There was a long pause. I don't know everything. Tell me what you do know. She took a breath. The weekend got bigger than it was supposed to. What does that mean? Monica's boyfriend came. Then other people showed up. I know there were guys. There were more by Saturday. And? One of them was Derek. I had never heard the name before. Who's Derek? A friend of someone who came with the group. Did Tara know him before? I honestly don't know. That answer stuck with me. Even Paula couldn't tell me whether Derek had really been a stranger. What happened with him? They started talking. What does that mean? They spent a lot of time together. How much? Most of Saturday. At your campsite? Not all of it. My stomach tightened. Where did they go? There was another campsite farther around the lake. They left together? Yes. For how long? A while. I pressed my hand against my forehead. Did anything happen between them? I don't know. Paula. I'm serious. I'm not going to tell you something happened when I didn't see it. I appreciated that, even if I hated the uncertainty. What did you see? They were close enough that people noticed. Did Tara say anything about me? Paula hesitated. Not much. That hurt more than I expected. While I had been handling wedding errands, Tara had apparently spent hours getting close to another man. And I barely came up. I asked, was she with your group the whole evening? No. Was she with Derek? I believe so, but I didn't follow them. So you don't know exactly where they were? No. What about the message Wendy sent? What message? Something about Tara already getting her bachelorette party out of the way. Paula sighed. That probably came from what people were joking about. I sat straighter. What were they joking about? That Tara had basically gotten an early bachelorette weekend. Because of Derek? I assume so. Did Tara hear that? Yes. There it was. The message hadn't appeared out of nowhere. Whatever Wendy meant, Tara knew why someone would say it. I asked, did anyone actually see Tara do anything with him? Not that I saw. Did they kiss? I didn't see that. Then why was everyone talking? Because they spent a lot of time together and disappeared from the group for a while. I leaned back. Why didn't anybody tell me? I thought Tara was going to. When? When she got home. I almost laughed. She came home and told me I was being suspicious for asking who was there. Paula went quiet. Then she said, I'm sorry. Did she leave me for Derek? I don't know. Do you think she did? I honestly don't know what Tara is doing. That was the first answer in days that didn't feel like someone was avoiding me. Paula didn't have a confession to give me. She only had pieces. Derek was there. Tara spent a lot of time with him. They left the main group together. People noticed. People joked. Then Tara came home, refused to explain anything, and disappeared. That was all I could honestly say I knew. The next morning, I started canceling the wedding. There were calls, emails, deposits, questions I didn't want to answer. One vendor asked whether we wanted to reschedule. No. Are you sure? Yes. That was the first thing I had been certain about in days. Even if Tara had come back with an explanation that somehow made the camping trip innocent, I couldn't marry someone who responded to a crisis by disappearing and moving out without a conversation. Whatever had happened at the lake, the wedding was over. Soon, family and friends started asking questions. I stopped trying to explain the whole thing. There was a relationship issue. That was enough. Some people told me I was lucky it happened before the wedding. I understood what they meant. Better before a marriage than after one. But that didn't make it feel like luck. Our lease was ending soon anyway. Roger told me I could stay if I wanted. I decided not to. The place had become tied too closely to those last few days. The couch where Tara's phone lit up. The doorway where she walked out. The wall where our picture used to be. So I packed what remained and left when the lease ended. Tara never gave me an explanation. For a while, that was the part one couldn't stop thinking about. Not even Derek. Not the message. The silence. If Tara had told me she didn't want to marry me anymore, I would have been devastated. If she had admitted she developed feelings for someone else, I would have hated hearing it. But at least I would have known where I stood. Instead, I learned our relationship was ending through missed calls, an empty chair at a wedding appointment, moving boxes, and fragments from people who were never supposed to be the ones explaining my own fiancé to me. Maybe something happened between Tara and Derek. Maybe the line she crossed was emotional rather than physical. Maybe meeting him simply made her realize she didn't want the life we had planned. Or maybe she had doubts long before that weekend and never had the courage to tell me. I may never know. What I do know is that she left for a weekend she described as a girls' camping trip. She came home with a story that kept changing. 3 days later, strangers were carrying her belongings out of our home. And the question that stayed with me wasn't only what happened between Tara and Derek at that lake. It was whether that weekend ended our relationship. Or whether I was simply the last person to realize it was already over.